Hi, this is my channel, Thinking Spiritually 343. Son's over there in his crib, so I'm probably gonna go back and forth a little bit. But, welcome to my channel. And so, for my first video, I would like to, for my first couple videos, I would like to just talk about some things that are, I feel that they're essential to understanding our evolution, our spiritual evolution, uh, our spiritual evolution, where we were, how we got here to where we are, and kind of an idea of where we're going to go. And this also helps to understand, I guess, the point of this channel. So let's get into it. Oh, to say, a lot of this stuff comes from the spiritual science, the anthroposophy of Dr. Rudolf Steiner. And there's a lot of other spiritual aspects that I'll touch on in future videos that come from other scientists in modern days as well as in the past, and so on and so forth. Let's get into it. So this goes back to about 34.5 million years ago, to a time on Earth when human beings were a lot different than we are now. Um, Different in pretty much every aspect, pretty much every respect. The What I'm going to touch on today is how we were different in our spiritual evolution and our mental states. Uh, we would we were pretty much very infantile. Our memory didn't develop. Um, we would have thoughts and ideas, but they would flow through the minds of the humans way back then. So no basis for language wasn't created. The way that they communicated instead was through their feelings. They would be able to feel the energy coming off, emanating. Think of, when when you get really excited, or you feel like your heart swells, you do something good for somebody and your heart swells and you get this overwhelming sense of emotion. That's it. That's how they were communicating. But they were, much more aware, much more in tune, much more sensitive to their feelings. And not only other people's feelings, other humans, but other sentient life forms as well. Uh, they would, they didn't have words. They would, of course, their voice box was there, probably not as developed as ours is now, but they would make grunts and whatnot, expressing their emotions. And the real change came from the education of their children. This was in the form for boys. It was to get over their fears and other certain kind of, I guess, base emotions. Get over certain things, and so they would place the boys into combat with each other, combat with wild animals. And 34.5 million years ago, uh, ferns, little ferns were huge and the size of trees, and they grew into forests. Insects were huge, and everything was just a lot bigger back then. And so it would also use elements like fire and other things to induce a state of panic, fear, I guess, that the boys would then get over and overcome. And for the female, this is more spiritual and important part came from the female. They did things like set them in the middle of storms, in the middle of big violent storms, and the females would internalize these emotions, these feelings, and in a big way, they would become one with the elements because they would try to not see a barrier. They would try to just stay. No, it was a very meditative kind of thing. They would also be placed in front of boys while the boys were having combat. So this type of education um, led to uh, really a great appreciation for the boys, great love and respect and admiration for what they were doing, and also it led to the formation of fantasy and ideas and imagination. This led to formation of moralistic concepts like good and evil. And so people were able to love one thing and abhor the other. And from that arose moralistic concepts, kill people, don't hurt, another anyone else, look out for the whole of humanity, things like that. And this was a long time ago before we know anything now. Now we know a lot of bad stuff, a lot of selfish desires that just wasn't known. And so next came evolution of man, whatnot. I guess an important part. I'll skip over the what anthroposophy and scientific or spiritual science and all that tell us about other um, root races such as the Atlanteans and the Aryans, which that word it's understandable if that conjures up feelings of negative feelings because there's been a lot of propaganda about that. Um, but go to the Bhagavad Gita, it's in there. Speak exactly of the Aryans being blonde, blue eyes, and also the word Aryan is literally written in stone. The Sumerians, King Darius talks about how he comes from that root race, and that's in anthroposophy. That's all it is. In modern days, in modern understanding, that's where where those negative feelings arise. So it's understandable, but I'll skip over all that because that just gets into the important thing is how did we come to where we are now with the intellectual mind that we have. We have memory, we have language, we've reached heights of scientific understanding. We're very, very evolved in that aspect, that intellectual aspect. But where did that come from? Where was that type of thinking? Where did that? Where was it sparked, so to speak? Well, in short, it happened 3 millennia BC in China or ancient Asia. Pay attention to my son. And attention is paid. I love my son. Black grapes. Get black grapes. They're super good. Where was I? Oh yeah. Where did the intellect come from? Where did this type of thinking originate from? It's a good question. Not many people even think about it. They just assume that we've always thought in abstract terms. Well, this way of thinking evolved in several different places. Uh, the democratic ideal, it it was, believe it or not, it was sparked um, in Egypt. It was developed in Greece, and then so on and so forth. Here, um, looking at the universe in a mathematical way, as if the universe is just a big machine, came from Copernicus. Copernicus and but the intellectual thoughts happened, like I was saying, 3 millennia BC, ancient China. There was this boy who was included in the in the mystery schools of the people at that time. And the mystery schools, they've always been around with humanity, and that evolved from millions of years ago as well. There have always been a class, so to speak, class of people who have kept this knowledge sacred, kept it from the profane, and so on and so forth. So this young boy was allowed to witness the rituals from these priests, and more so, he was allowed to take part in these rituals. When this boy grew up to the age of 40, through the intellect that was already um, that thought, like adding two and two together, two ox and pulling a cart has more power than one, or a person pulling a cart or a horse or something like that. That is very, very. Uh, that's kind of how it started, but the spark is where the his knowledge of the mystery school, of the mysteries, the spiritual mysteries, meshed with his intellect. And that happened at age 40. And that is when a certain type of energy or a certain type of thinking incarnated into his mind, into this man. And then he became a teacher. He didn't keep the intellect with himself. He became a teacher. He gave it to all. Before that time, so this was a big thing because before that time, before that incarnation happened, everyone was reliant on the priests to evolve, to impart spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge unto them. No more in his mind. And so from there, he taught everyone. This is my personal opinion, or my personal thought. I think this is where the wisdom of Tao came out. Wisdom of Zen. So if you study it, it is very spiritual, but it's very technical as well. You can't really say no. I don't believe in that. It's not really dependent on any kind of abstract ideas or notions. And it just is what it is. And so Dr. Steiner does a really good job of showing how this spark, this incarnation of intelligence, of mental activity, gave way to pretty much everything we know. For example, the wisdom from the Gnostics. Wisdom from the Gnostics drew directly on the stream of knowledge. Same thing with the Greeks. In fact, the Greek ideal of beauty came from this stream of knowledge as well. And it evolved, Copernicus and so on and so forth. Now, so that's kind of what uh, it's a good aspect of spiritual science. I mean, we can see from that we can see how the mechanics of these things work, how they have worked, and how they will continue to work. Because this doesn't stop just because most people don't believe in science or spirit, and they feel that it's superstitious to believe in spirit. Um, doesn't mean it's not going to stop though. There's going to be technical knowledge is a little different from intellect. Intellect, we've kind of evolved to the point where it's kind of exhausted. Kind of exhausted. So the technical knowledge is what everybody fills their minds with, fills their spirits with, especially in a materialistic kind of world. A lot of people, they don't really like to think about spirituality. They say, well, it's and they live in the real world. Live in the real world, right? I'll speak on that a little more. That's thank you for watching. Yeah, this is Thinking Spiritually 343. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you did like, how you think I can improve. Because I'm always up for that. Always up for improvement and all that. And thanks again for watching.